When you learned about Acrobatic Silky's past, didn't you feel like crying? I certainly did when I first saw it, and now, while making this video, I'm tearing up all over again. In this video, we'll look at how the characters Aira, Acrobatic Silky, and Transformed Aira use different Japanese words to say I or my. The words watashi and watakushi each give a slightly different impression. Let's start with watashi. A well-known character who uses this pronoun to refer to himself is Muzan Kibutsuji from Demon Slayer. First of all, watashi is gender-neutral and can be used politely in business or formal situations in everyday Japanese.
お前は私が言うことを否定するのか。私が嫌いなものは変化だ。
If there's any gender difference, watashi is standard for women, suitable for casual situations without sounding stiff, yet still polite enough for formal settings. In anime and manga, most female characters use watashi. When men use watashi in daily conversation, it can give an impression of elegance, calmness, or composure. When Muzan uses watashi, regardless of appearing as a man or a woman, the pronoun never diminishes his sense of authority. So, what impression does watakushi give? It feels more polite, or perhaps even excessively polite, compared to watashi. Even people who normally wouldn't use watakushi might use it when apologizing, such as in public apologies by celebrities. Japanese speakers sometimes change their first-person pronouns depending on the situation. Here, a demon in Demon Slayer uses watakushi to plead for forgiveness. Using watakushi often implies that the speaker might come from a noble or distinguished family. It gives a very refined impression. Now, let's consider why she uses watakushi after transforming. First, about Acrobatic Silky. As you probably noticed in the scene, where she's teaching ballet to her daughter. We can guess that she originally came from a wealthy family that could afford ballet lessons. In Japan, daughters from wealthy or noble families are called
Ojou-sama.
Especially in anime and manga, and Ojou-sama speaks elegantly in a way distinct from ordinary people. There's an anime airing in Japan right now, called From Bureaucrat to Villainess. Dad's Been Reincarnated. Have you seen it? I'm totally hooked and always laughing. But anyway, if you've watched it, try picturing Grace. In this anime, noble-born women use watakushi, while commoners like Anna use watashi. This reflects traditional class distinctions in Japanese speech, in addition to the serious profession of the middle-aged bureaucrat possessing grace. Her skill, elegance cheat, allows her to speak exactly as a typical Japanese person imagines someone of noble status would. However, since it's an anime, her speech reflects what's commonly thought to be correct by the general public. It might actually differ from how genuinely noble people speak. Since I've never actually spoken with people from the upper class, I've only heard such speech in fictional settings, like anime or manga. Yet, I immediately recognize it as the speech of an
Ojou-sama.
This is the
Ojou-sama.
in Japanese. Adding the gives a feeling of emphasis, like exactly this, or the very thing. I don't think we're misusing it. Unlike English, Japanese has a structured honorific system, based on social status and context. English also adjusts formality through word choice and phrasing, but in a different way. Broadly speaking, there are three main types. First, elevating the listener. Second, humbling oneself to respect others, and third, expressing general politeness. Okarun normally speaks in 3, using polite and proper language. However, after transforming, his speech abruptly shifts from formal to a sluggish and weary tone, making him sound disinterested and detached. This dramatic shift in tone must have been a real challenge for the translators, and I truly admire their effort. Earlier, we looked at how watashi is used. Both Muzan and Nanami use watashi and have a calm, measured way of speaking. However, their impressions differ due to their speech patterns. Muzan speaks in a composed yet ruthless manner, which makes him seem cold and intellectual. On the other hand, Nanami's use of polite language, even with younger characters, gives him a refined and intelligent image. This shows how honorific speech can shape a character's personality and perception. At the same time, the way a character speaks can greatly influence how they are perceived. I'll talk more about this another time. Now, back to the main topic. Additionally, adding o or go to the beginning of nouns and adjectives can make words sound more polite or refined. Then, by modifying these words according to different roles or historical contexts, like samurai style, ninja style, or Ojou-sama style, you can add unique personality to characters. Most Japanese speakers can manage 3, but 1 and 2 are challenging, and even Japanese people frequently misuse them. If you can use 1 and 2 correctly, you'll appear intelligent and refined. Since honorifics are often misused, excessively layering incorrect high-class speech can enhance a character's comedic tone, or make them seem like they're trying too hard to appear noble. Acrobatic Silky speaks in exactly this exaggerated way. Before we look at Acrobatic Silky, let's first check out a classic example of refined speech. Here, Grace uses "oh" to add elegance to her words. For now, let's focus just on that.
器はこちらへお下げしてよろしいのかしら。
はい、ありがとうございます。
それでは一つお願いしたいのですけれど、シェフにお伝え願いますかしら。とても良いお味でしたと。
は、確かに承りました。
Now, let's look at Acrobatic Silky, who takes "oh" usage to an extreme, misusing it repeatedly in a way that feels both comical and slightly unhinged. Since the English subtitles are closer to the original Japanese meaning, I'll be using them here. Acrobatic Silky's speech in the original Japanese seems comical at first glance, but at the same time, it gives off an unsettling, almost deranged impression. She excessively uses "oh" to sound refined, yet her actual word choices are crude and inconsistent. Before analyzing Aira's use of watakushi after transforming, let's first take a closer look at Acrobatic Silky's speech and explore another possible interpretation. First, excessive and incorrect use of "oh." Second, mismatched, crude language. She tries to sound refined, but her chaotic speech creates a strange dissonance. Third, phrases that remind us of old TV dramas. Her word choices feel oddly nostalgic. Fourth, a highly exaggerated, almost frenzied tone. Her speech is comical yet gives off an unsettling vibe. In other scenes, we see that Acrobatic Silky's memories of her past are fragmented and unclear.
I can't remember what, but I think I lost something dear to me.
Rather than just being an eccentric way of speaking, could her chaotic speech be reflecting a deeper issue? Perhaps the loss, confusion, or even breakdown of her identity. She attempts to present herself as elegant by using "oh," but her inconsistent word choices suggest a disoriented mind, struggling to reconstruct itself. The inclusion of nostalgic lines from old TV dramas hints at her inability to clearly distinguish between past and present. This chaotic speech pattern could be interpreted as the fractured remains of an Ojou-sama persona, creating an eerie sense of madness. In short, Acrobatic Silky's speech is not just a comedic quirk. It might also symbolize the disarray of her mind and identity. Her excessive and mismatched use of "oh" could be seen as a sign of psychological instability, adding a deeper layer of madness to her character. Next, let's take a look at Aira after transforming. Her way of speaking is noticeably different from her usual self. In her normal state, Aira does not use Ojou-sama speech. Instead, she speaks in a cutesy and playful way, often exaggerating her femininity. something we might call buriko in Japanese. After transforming, however, Aira starts overusing the honorific prefix o, just like Acrobatic Silky. But in addition to this speech pattern, there's another key change: her first-person pronoun. While Aira's transformed speech might resemble Acrobatic Silky's at first glance, the two have distinct differences. Acrobatic Silky mixes crude, unrefined words with elegant speech, creating a chaotic mismatch. On the other hand, Aira, although she misuses o, like Acrobatic Silky, chooses words that are generally refined and elegant. As a result, her overly polite way of speaking naturally creates two distinct impressions in Japanese. When speaking to Okarun, she carefully picks refined words to appear elegant and charming. Her exaggerated politeness makes her seem modest and reserved. This contrast, graceful speech and a strong personality, creates a comedic effect.
Acrobatic Silky.
アイラにそんなお姿をお見せつけになるなんて、もうお婚約がお前提ってことなのですね。
When speaking to enemies, her exaggerated politeness sounds more like an assertion of superiority, a way to belittle and provoke them. At first, her speech sounds refined and elegant, but it contains misused words and exaggerated politeness, making it feel like a performed noblewoman's speech.
あなた、私のことが好きみたいね。全然です。ごめんなさい。私にはもう心に決めた人がいるの。でも私にアタックするチャンスはいくらでもある。それがいい女の条件でしょ。ああ、頭がはまっちゃったです。さあ、お厄介なやつ。
Personally, I feel that this balance of humor and coolness makes Aira's transformed character even more enjoyable. Unlike most Japanese speakers, Aira rarely omits the subject of a sentence, due to her strong sense of self-importance. This remains true even after her transformation. She still explicitly uses watakushi, but now blends it with Acrobatic Silky's exaggerated speech. This mix of refinement and exaggeration gives her a unique speech style. Despite her refined speech, Aira's strong personality never fades. This contrast, excessive politeness mixed with confidence, makes her stand out as a unique and comical presence, rather than a typical Ojou-sama character. Having explained all this, the reason she says watakushi is actually because it's an anime. In the manga scenes, you can't actually tell if transformed Aira is saying watashi or watakushi. They use the same kanji, but the reading is different. In Japanese, readings are often written next to kanji characters. This is common in newspapers, and children's manga often include readings for almost every kanji. In a scene from Demon Slayer, both Muzan and Gyoko use the same kanji in their dialogue. However, in Muzan's line, it's written as watashi, while in Gyoko's line, it's written as watakushi. In Dandadan, the manga only shows the kanji, so readers may interpret it as either watashi or watakushi. The author may have originally intended for it to be read as watashi at that point. However, during anime production, they likely decided that watakushi was the best choice, not just as a sound, but also to emphasize her character. In Japanese, a character's transformation can be emphasized through changes in their first-person pronoun. I previously talked about Frieza's transformation in another video. This seems to work the same way, using transformation to reinforce a character's change. Seiko and Turbo Granny use the first-person pronoun, washi, but before introducing them. Next time, I'll talk about the Japanese urban legend, Acrobatic Silky, and how it inspired the Dandadan character of the same name. We'll explore its origins and behavior in the story.
Oh, interesting.
Let's give it a like. You too.
I need more of this. I'm subscribing. Join me.
ありがとう。
In the Japanese version, Aira speaks an exaggerated, Ojou-sama, speech,
I can see your boy bits!
misusing words in a humorous way. This reminded me of a classic Japanese humorous tale about a country girl who marries into a wealthy family and struggles to speak politely to avoid being rude. She adds "oh" to every word and tries to use overly refined language, often misusing words in the process. Her husband has no idea what she's trying to say, so he orders her, "Stop adding "oh" to everything, and don't force yourself to speak so formally." One day, she notices a grain of rice stuck on her husband's forehead that won't fall off. She tries to tell him, but since he had forbidden her from using "oh," she even omits it from words where it's actually necessary.
フェイさんのデコに米ついてチンチン。
And well, somehow, it ended up as a symbol.
I can see your boy bits!
はい、お疲れ様でした。
見てくれてありがとう。